I'm Danny Whitescorn, and this is Behind the Title, where leaders show up differently. Today I'm joined by Lucy Foy, director at IMedia, who joins us to talk about her experience living with Crohn's disease.
People don't understand it. You kind of see this as a person, but there's not a day that you go by that you're not in pain. People with Crohn's disease really push themselves. You know, you don't want to give up on yourself. So I'm hoping that being on here, I'm able to give people confidence and, know it's okay to talk about it and be a bit braver as well.
We're excited to shine a light on the topic of hidden disability, specifically Crohn's, given it affects over 500,000 people in the UK. We look forward to you enjoying this episode. Hello, welcome Lucy. It's so lovely to have you here. I think we've known each other through your partner actually, but you're also within the industry. So it'd be lovely for people to hear a bit about you and why it was important for you to come on Behind the Title today.
Brilliant. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me on here. It's
pleasure.
A real pleasure. So thank you so much. So I've been in the industry since my early 20s. I started off at the Express newspapers, and then I worked on OK New and Star. From there, I went to work at Bauer and worked across the mags. It was a really great grounding, working the press days for sales.
Oh, how it's changed.
It definitely has changed. It definitely has. And then from there, I changed and worked in the out-of-home industry, where I worked at Deco and Ocean Outdoor, and worked on some amazing creative campaigns, which I absolutely love. Outdoor, it's one of my favourite things to be.
Likewise.
Yeah. So I suppose I'm here today to talk to you about Crohn's disease and how I've been living with Crohn's disease since my early 20s, and how I kind of do that alongside working and kind of keep going, really, to be honest with you. It's such a hidden illness that people don't understand or see what people, or who's got it, really.
Yeah. What was amazing, we talked before, is, you fact check me if I'm wrong here, I think it's, about 500,000 people in the UK suffer with Crohn's disease.
Correct, yeah.
And that's kind of translates to about, 1 in 12, 13 people. Like, that's quite a high number of people that are suffering with the disease.
Yeah.
And I think what I found amazing, because it is what I would class as a hidden disability.
100%, yeah.
Is on the outside, you look really well and healthy. Explain a bit more about Crohn's disease and how it can affect someone on a daily basis.
Yeah, so Crohn's disease is an inflammatory bowel disease that can affect everything from your throat all the way through to your gut. But there's also other symptoms with it. It's you can't digest food very well. You can't absorb nutrition at all. It also is a disease that keeps on giving. From that, you end up
taking.
You end up getting rheumatoid arthritis, which I suffer from as well. It's not just about going to the toilet 100 times a day, which does happen. It's all about the other things that go with it. So with the rheumatoid arthritis, your joints seize up, your hands seize up, but it's also the fatigue that you get with it as well. So it's really debilitating in all senses. For me, there's kind of never a day that I don't wake up and I'm not in pain, or I go to bed, I'm always in pain. So it's one of those things that you just kind of have to keep going, and I don't kind of let it win in those respects. It's just something that I feel that people don't understand. And I think that's why, I've come on here today to try and voice and let people know and make people more aware of how debilitating the disease really is.
Are you in pain now?
My joints are always in pain in my hands. There's always something niggling going on.
And do you take medication for?
Yeah, so I inject myself every couple of weeks. I take medication in the mornings, millions of supplements, because your body can't absorb certain, nutrition that you take in. So you're always trying to add by taking different vitamins and things.
I assume you have to go to hospital on a regular basis?
Yeah, so I go, that's one thing I think about the disease that is very frustrating, is because you have to go regularly. I do every 2 weeks to have blood tests because of the injections that I give myself. So you always have to be going there, and you always have to go to hospital appointments. For me, my doctors are half an hour away drive. And then my hospital's over an hour drive. And I think that's another thing. I think when you're working, people think, oh, you're going to the doctors again. Oh, they're having time off work. Well, I don't want to be going. I really don't want to be going to that appointment, because every time I go to that appointment, it's either probably bad news every time. I have these blood tests that I have, and I know now I'm great. I can read blood tests. I can tell you exactly if it's good or bad and what's happening in my system. But every time you're going, it's like, oh, your inflammation levels are really high. I'm like, well, I kind of know that because that's the disease, but no, they're really high. Right, we need to take another medication to bring that back down. Or your iron levels are really low this week. Okay, well, I'm taking my supplements. Well, your body's not absorbing those supplements very well. So what else can we be doing? If my iron is so low, I have to go into hospital and have an iron infusion. So an iron infusion, the doctors don't give those sort of things out willy-nilly. You have to be in a severe deficit to have that. Then more recently, obviously, it's an inflammation illness, and it affects your immune system. So I can get coughs and colds like that because of the immune suppressant drugs that I'm on. So it's a lot to deal with. And last time it was your white blood cell levels are so low that you're even more prone to normal to get an infection or something. So when I'm getting on the train or the tube, I'm always kind of like...
You're still wearing a mask?
Yeah, well, sometimes I'm always like hiding in the corner. So I don't want to get ill again.
Just go back a second, because actually you said something that's come up in previous episodes about when you have to make hospital visits.
Yes.
Do you think it's more your head that maybe you think that people are either casting judgment or have a point of view as to you're not working, versus people have actually said that?
Yeah, it's definitely in my head, 100%. It is. It's because you feel guilty. And again, because you give off this persona, people think you're fine. Yeah. But, really, I'm battling all these other things that are going inside me, and I feel guilty because I'm not working when I should be there supporting my team and, and going out to all the meetings and things like that I need to be doing. So, yeah, it's a guilt thing from within.
I find that fascinating. We had, you might even know Melissa Kafiki, who came on in the last series. She's currently in remission for cancer.
Yeah.
And she was talking about her experience of getting back into the workplace, and specifically probably more what her head told her around... is she going to be judged because she's not been around for a long time, and therefore trying to integrate back into the team, take on relationships, lead on specific projects. And I think it was more of a, I don't know if you call it, like, maybe it's imposter syndrome, maybe it's a little bit of fear that, as you say, externally I look fine. Yeah. So people will be saying, well, why am I not doing my job over here? It kind of leads me to my first question then. Like, you mentioned you got diagnosed to me earlier at 20?
Yeah, early 20s, yeah.
And I do think it's an interesting story. Like, just explain to them how that diagnosis came about.
So I was just walking to work and I decided that morning, I was like, I'm going to have a scone for breakfast. So I popped in.
Where do you buy scones from for breakfast?
M&S.
Okay, fine, all right.
In Broadgate. Okay. It was a good scone. But I had the scone, and literally as soon as I ate that scone, within seconds, I was having to rush to the toilet. And I thought, God, that's really unlike me. That's really strange. I'd never been a big person, but I thought, I ate that and I was, go to the toilet straight away. And then the next day, for some reason, I went and purchased the same thing again. And then I ate it. But everything after that, everything I consumed was just coming straight out of me. And I couldn't control it. And unfortunately, that's where it all started for me. And it was just one of those things that just changed my life from eating that thing. And I don't think it was anything at the time. I'm not saying it was a scone. The infection has always been in me, clearly. Yeah. But it was just that something within that just triggered it. And that's where it all started.
And so you've had a pretty, I guess, a decorated career across publishing, out of home. I talk about it quite a lot, in the workplace, but also at home, other halves in the industry. I think sometimes we fall foul of we're so busy and there's so much to do, and I can't leave my phone alone. Yeah. Something. But at the same time, I think that we can forget about looking after ourselves. And so was there a moment in your career, because you obviously got diagnosed at 20, where on the outside, everything, the veneer was great,
Yeah.
but inside you were crumbling? There was a moment where you just couldn't cope anymore, but you either carried on, or maybe you didn't, and maybe you kind of drew a line under where you were at that point. Like, has there been like one or more of those moments?
I think it's continuous moments for me. I really do. I think because there's not a day that I wake up when I'm not in pain, as I've already said. I think it's just a continuous keep going. And it's one of those things that you know as a sufferer that if I give in, I feel like the illness is going to win. So I don't kind of give in, I keep going. Like, you go to bed and probably, people sleep really nicely and easy. I go to bed, I've got aches and pains, I have to get up to probably go to the toilet, I have to take painkillers to try and help with the pain that's happening in my joints, those sort of things. So for me, it's a constant battle, and I feel like there's never one day that I wake up and I'm like, I don't know what it's like to not have pain in my life, if that makes sense. I don't know what that's like to wake up and feel like, oh my God, I feel amazing today. I get up and I'm like, oh God, okay, here we go again. We can do this. Let's do this. Let's put this face on. Let's go. Wow. And I think that's how I just get on with it. I keep going, probably to the detriment to myself sometimes, because I push myself too much. And I know that. And that's when other things set in, the fatigue, and you know that you need to go home and just not do anything and rest.
But has there then, to build on that, has there been a moment where you've pushed yourself too far? Where you've really, the wheels have come off and you
I mean, I used to end up in hospital nearly every month where at the beginning. I've collapsed at many of places that I've worked at. They'd had to call ambulances for me because of all the drugs that I've been on. The drugs that you're on throughout being on Crohn's, the different drugs you take, is insane. And like what happens to your body while you're taking those drugs, it's a constant battle with it. I think for me, I mean, I was on steroids for over a year, and all of a sudden my body just gave up and I had an anaphylactic shock to it. And I don't know if anybody's ever seen anybody who has an anaphylactic shock. It's pretty horrific. And I was really lucky that I was actually in hospital at the time when I was having it. And yeah, that for me, I was like, oh my God, like what's going on? Like this is really serious, these drugs that I'm taking.
Obviously, I know that you're privileged. You've got some stepchildren in your life. Do you find it hard to manage the condition around being a parent at the same time?
Yeah, definitely.
Either managing them, but also helping them understand your condition, or do you keep the two separate?
I've tried to explain. It's very hard. Obviously, it's very hard for them to understand. Yeah. For me, it's my energy levels, because there's so much fatigue, because it really drains you, the illness. Where they're there, I try and give them 110%, and then when they go home, I'm like, oh my God. And then I really kind of normally have a downward spiral, and then I won't feel great for another day because it's really taken all my energy out of me. I try and explain to them. I had unfortunately ended up in hospital at across the summer this year, because my bowel, where I had half my bowel taken out when I was 29, had my ileum colon, and a large part of my bowel was taken out because it perforated, and it gave me septicemia. And I was in hospital. I was 29 years old, and you're being told, right, you're going to be rushed into hospital to have your bowel taken out. And it's kind of like, okay, well, what does that mean? What does that mean?
What does it help me? What does that mean?
So it's either, unfortunately, I found out your bowel is the only organ that doesn't really go back together. It doesn't like rejoining in different places. Hence why people end up with a colostomy bag.
Right, okay.
So, I always remember saying to my surgeon, please don't do that. I don't want to be cut from here to here. Please, can you keep it keyhole? I love wearing bikinis. Like, I'm 29 years old, and he's like, okay, I'll try my best. And the options are, hopefully the bowel does go back together. That's what you hope for. Or if it doesn't go back there, and then they give you a bag to give the bowel chance to sort of rest and recoup, and then they try and join it. Obviously, some people, unfortunately, end up with a colostomy bag for the rest of their lives. And I was very, very lucky. I ended up being able to have my bowel joined back together again, which it did change my life, but the disease is still within my bowel and within me. And then, this summer, where the joint was in my bowel, it collapsed again. The inflammation just took over and it collapsed, and I ended up rushed back into hospital.
Were there visible symptoms, or
I was really ill for the 3 weeks up to it. There's lots of things. My speech was going funny. I had to rush the toilet a lot. I mean, it was pretty horrific, some of the things I had to go through in those 3 weeks. And the stuff just wasn't going well. I just was going downhill. And then I remember we had dinner on a Sunday evening, and all of a sudden my stomach just sort of distended and was out here, and I was in agony, and I was like, God, something's not right. I really don't feel well. And I thought I'd given us food poisoning, but I know I'm a good cook. So I was like, hang on, it can't be food poisoning. And then about 2 a.m. in the morning, my other half was like, what can you have? I was like, maybe a peppermint tea, digestion, that might help. And then all of a sudden, I was just being violently ill. I had one sip of peppermint tea and everything was just coming back up. And what had happened, the food had nowhere to go. The bowel had closed quite high up and there was just nowhere for the food to go. So everything was just coming back up, back out of me. So back to hospital, here we go again. What's going to happen? I had surgeons looking at me and going, right, so are we having to cut this piece out again because there's still lots of inflammation? Could we take some more steroids to try and open up the bowel again? And I was like, please, let's give this. Steroids are a horrific drug. So I was like, let's go for the steroids. Let's give it a go. And I was very lucky that did open up my bowel again. And so it's back reworking. But yeah, I know it's just one of those things now. I feel like I've got a bit of a ticking time bomb in me.
Does it ever get too much?
No, I don't let it. I don't.
Mentally?
Yeah, no, sometimes maybe I'm such a strong person that
incredible.
It probably does, but I don't. And sometimes I get told you should maybe sometimes let it out a bit, but I just keep going. I don't want it to
of course.
Control me. I've never wanted it to control me because I feel like if you let this disease in, it will control your life. And I just don't want that.
I mean, we haven't even got into this yet,
No.
but that's just hearing that for me, and certainly hopefully people listening, will be hugely educational, but also massively inspiring. The bravery I think that you're showing, sitting here, but B, talking about how you have experienced some of the challenges, but then overcome and continue to say fuck you. Is amazing. And out of interest, do you, or have you ever had, kind of sought mental health support to manage your kind of thoughts and feelings around it?
I never have, but at IMedia, our CEO's other half is amazing, and she's actually now going and coming in, and we're able to go and talk to her. And yeah, she's been fantastic to talk about too. Actually, yeah. Is
she in the field?
She's in the field.
Right.
She's professional, so yeah, she's fantastic. So recently, I have been, in the last, I'd say 6 to 8 months, been talking to her and opening up about, what's been going on, and she's been a great support. And she's like, my God. And she herself says people don't understand it and get how hard it is.
Yeah, of course.
Which
that's mad. It kind of makes me feel like when I have man flu or there's another ailment, and I'm pretty tough and resilient ever since I moved to the southeast with my other half, and I was told just get on with it, just man up. But to hear that is it's incredible. I guess throughout your career, has there been a moment where you found yourself in a position, either personally or professionally, where things have not necessarily been quite right, or there's been challenges, and you've walked out of a room and maybe there was something that you wish that you had said? We often, certainly I do, I kind of, I wish I would have said that.
Yeah.
And not necessarily in a negative way,
No.
but, it might have been around a time when you were taking on too much, or when someone, had in a personal capacity said something to you which just didn't necessarily gel. Like, has there been any of those moments?
Oh, definitely. Early on, I've got two very good examples, actually. Early on in my career, I was going to hospital, as I mentioned, for these infusions. It was once a month for 4 hours. And I remember my manager at the time sort of turned around and was like, well, when's this going to stop? Like, when's this going to get, like, when will you get better? And I was like, what? Well, I'm not going to get better. This is just the start of it for me at the moment. So I think because I was so young, I didn't say anything, and I was quite shocked with what they said to me, that I kind of was like, oh God. And then I felt guilty because I was going to that hospital appointment on the Friday or something. So that was quite hard at the beginning because I was still so young and still dealing with the disease and understanding it myself, and then all the repercussions of taking these drugs, how they make you feel afterwards, and then coming back into work and being okay. And then another time I was told to go on an exclusion diet because with Crohn, sometimes it could be gluten or wheat that affects people. So they put you on an exclusion diet where you don't really eat anything for 2 weeks, and you're kind of on like a meal replacement. So it's like a powder with water. It's absolutely disgusting, but it's to give your body a chance just to kind of heal and just clear everything out.
Has nutrients in it. And
exactly, to keep you going. And we had a lunch with an agency, and I was like, I don't think it would be really appropriate for me to come on this lunch. And they were like, no, you'll be fine to come on the lunch. You can just eat something. I was like, no, I can't. I don't think you understand. I really can't. So I kind of sat there and I kind of thought to myself, well, I've got 3 choices here. I don't go, I might lose my job. If I do go and eat, I'm just completely messing up my doctor's plans. Or the third option is, right, I just go and I sit there and get on with it. So I went and I sat there and I didn't eat anything and drank water throughout the lunch. But then I had the embarrassment of having to explain why I'm there, not eating and getting involved with everybody. So it's quite tough.
I mean, I've shared it before. I mean, I haven't drunk in a long time, and I feel very comfortable going to a work event. If I want to leave, I have the choice to be able to walk out the door. I equally have the choice and the opportunity to say no before, but it's taken me a long time to feel comfortable to know that I can say no, and that is a sentence. But I can equally go somewhere and not feel the need to stay for a long time. Do you think the industry's changed in the last, I'll say 5 years? We've gone through societal change, probably the most accelerated period, in terms of a more flexible working society. I think we've become slightly more tolerant and understanding of different cultures, perspectives. Do you think the industry has changed? It is more accommodating, more accepting?
I think it definitely has over the years. It's definitely become more accommodating, more understanding. For me, I know now that I don't have to make sure I'm at every single leaving do, although I'll try and go for a bit. But I know kind of if I'm home late, I know that would be detriment on me and my fatigue and how tired I'd be. But I know that, you can go, you don't have to go. I think, from that perspective, it's definitely changed.
Do you think that there's more to be done? And if you do think there's more to be done, and not necessarily about Crohn's, like, where do you think that starts? Does it start with senior leaders sitting in front of me right now talking about this stuff, or do you think it starts in other areas?
No, I think it's definitely from senior leaders. It needs to start, because I suppose we're like the old school media, and it's like you show up, you stay, you do this, you do that. Where I think nowadays it's like you don't have to go to everything. I think people understand that now, and I think you're not going to have a black mark put against your name because you didn't stay out to the last orders or something like that. So I just think that needs to sort of culture needs to change a bit, but Interesting.
So I want to go switch up again just into, and I don't necessarily have to be graphic here, but like, are there triggers, in the workplace that you struggle with? So it might be the consumption of food or drink. It might be as you said, someone maybe saying something to you. It might be the apprehension of, oh, I need to go on a long lunch. I'm not prepared to do that, or I'm not in a good place to do that. Are there regular workplace triggers that come up for you that do make your, I guess your Crohn's disease flare up more?
Yeah. Sometimes there is. Sometimes it could be, if I'm a bit stressed, it might flare up a bit more, but not really. But I think it's all about, for me, just sort of turning up for your team, supporting your team, make sure you're there for your team. And yeah, there are things that maybe might trigger it a bit more, but I have to be really careful what I do eat. Sometimes I do look at that and think, oh God, maybe I shouldn't eat that today because I know that might affect me. But I just think personally, I think it's just more like, just want to be there, support your team, and just kind of, I don't know, just show up really, and just, yeah. Are there
any talk to me about some of the no-go areas in terms of food?
Like, I don't really have any. So that's when the exclusion diet happened, I kind of like went through everything. I had to keep a diary. I'd eat like cheese excessively, you'd eat eggs excessively. And then what happened was, it wasn't anything that they couldn't pinpoint what I was eating that was causing it. So in the end, it was just, they said it was just the disease within me. But I can literally have a granola and yogurt one day and I'll be fine. And then the next day I can have exactly the same thing and it will just cause a flare up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And even the drugs that I'm on, it just still will have a flare up throughout. And these flare ups are pretty horrific. You could be going to the toilet, I'd say 20 times a day, and your body's not digesting the food. It's just literally coming straight out of you. And so that's exhausting because you're literally drained of everything. And, when that happens and you're running to different meetings or you're about to do a presentation or, all I'm thinking about is like, oh my God, right, if I go here, where are the different toilets on my route? When I go to that agency, where's that toilet if I need to quickly rush to the loo and things like that.
That's how you think.
Yeah, and I have a pass that I carry with me if I'm out and about and I quickly need to go and use the bathroom. Not that a lot of the places it works at.
As in, you've made it yourself? Or
no, it's something you can get.
So, like, you have the sunflower.
Yeah, you can get this person. Yeah, needs to get to the toilet quickly, sort of thing. So.
And that doesn't work.
Not in some places. No, I've been told. Sorry, no, this is just the staff, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think you understand how desperate this is. And
is that from the charity or?
It's just from the charity. Yeah, there's from the charity. Yeah,
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And do you? I guess when you have to show that, do you feel awkward?
Yeah, of course. It's not an attractive subject to talk about, and it's embarrassing because you're like, I've literally got to go and use your toilet.
It's like a private members club.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. But trust me, you don't want to be.
No. That's mad. So really, I guess over the last 20 minutes, all I've heard is, I don't let it get in the way of anything. Yeah. And I continue to live my life. And I'm a little bit in awe.
Oh God.
And I don't know if it's because it's the blind faith and optimism that you have as to, well, it's not going to get in the way.
Yeah.
Even down to, as you said before, I just have to show up for my team.
Yeah.
That to me, is the epitome of a leader showing up differently. It doesn't matter what's going on, you're there and you're present. Was there a time then, and maybe it was when you were 20, that you stood yourself in front of the mirror and it metaphorically or physically, but actually just said, enough's enough? Or, do you ever have to have a chat with yourself?
Every morning in the mirror sometimes, if you're not had a good night, you've been up all night going to the toilet or you're in agony. Like last week I was hobbling around the office, my hands were all sort of tight and and I'm just looking at myself like, come on, you can get up and do this today. You can do this, keep going. Yeah. And I think mine was also when I had my bowel taken out, it was just the scars that, lucky enough I did have keyholes, so I have small scars, but it's like, those moments that you look at yourself and say, come on, you've got this, you're stronger than this, you can keep going. I just think it's just be positive as much as I possibly can, because like I said, I just don't want it to control me. And I think, pep talks all the time. You got to keep doing it. Just put on that smile and keep going. It's tough. It is tough to keep going like that. I'm not going to lie. It is tough to keep going like that. But yeah, it's I mean, it is draining as well. To always
no, of
be.
course. I mean, but I'm sitting here right now, and you know, I know your partner, so I see stuff on social, and I think to myself, you know, when you're on those holidays, that's probably a rare moment of not just R&R, like getting away, but actually it's probably a moment where I guess you can just be you.
Yeah.
And you can just switch off.
Yeah.
Not have to keep the veneer up for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, if you do have a flare up, then you're in the comfort, you know, of wherever you are.
I think that's a real importance, and also having really supportive friends and family around you makes such a difference. Because I always say, you know, God, I hate saying, God, I don't feel well today, or I try not to say that because I'll just say it all the time. And the amount of things that I haven't managed to go to, the amount of times I've had to let my friends and family down because I'm not feeling well enough. You know, I won't go to certain events because I can't go at the weekend because I know that would just exhaust me and I won't be well for the working week, if I'm being honest. So I kind of prioritise, make sure I'm showing up for the team and make sure I'm here, going to my meetings at the agencies and stuff. And then the weekend comes, I'm like, I'm done. I just need to hibernate. And that's the that's with when the fatigue kicks in, like, you might say you're tired, but my tired is completely different.
I'm actually feeling like I can't say I'm tired anymore.
No, of course you can. Everybody's tired.
But like...
Yeah, it's like I'll be going to a meeting and I could just feel my body sort of closing in on itself and I can just feel it. And it's like this sort of tightening and you just kind of... And I go, right, I've done too much now. It's just get home, get through your meeting, get home and rest. And it's just a different exhaustion that's going, because your body's just battling against itself constantly. It's just a completely different fatigue.
And have you met other people that suffer with Crohn's in the industry?
I have met, and colitis as well.
Okay.
Colitis just affects a different part of the organs. So I have, and we kind of support each other. What drug are you on now? Oh, I'm on this, etc., etc. So it is nice, and I'm hoping from this, you know, there'll be more people that will come out and want to talk about it.
And is there a lot of support in the industry or even outside for either educating people on how to manage it themselves or how to support colleagues? Is there a lot out there?
There's Crohn's and Colitis website. When I first got diagnosed, I signed up, and there's like forums, you can go and chat, and I'm on this drug, what does this do? My God, my side effects were X, Y, and Z. Like, I had a drug that was called methotrexate, and it was a small dose of chemotherapy, but it's to help with the inflammation in your body. But I was taking it for 2 years, and then all of a sudden, every night on a Monday evening, you'd inject yourself and I'd end up start being sick all the time, or my hair would start getting really thin and fall out. And so you go on these forums and be like, has anyone else had these? Like, you know, what's happening? And I know after a while, my body just goes, enough's enough on certain drugs. And then I get put on a new one. So maybe not so much in the industry, but there are forums and things out there, so you feel like you're not alone. Facebook groups, that sort of thing. And I think it is nice, especially when you first get it and you don't understand it so much and what the different drugs are that you're taking, what it's doing to your system. It is nice to know that you're not the only one.
So if like you meet someone for the first time, be it previous partners or if you join a new workplace, do you start to... do you introduce yourself? Hello, I've got Crohn. You know, but how do you broach that? I think that sort of advice for people is to, you know, because I think some might be ashamed of it, some might not know how to communicate it. How do you tackle that sort of thing?
To be honest, I mean, I was recently working with a colleague, and I've repped them for years, and then they kind of came on the sales side and we're working together. And he was like, I have known you all these years and I had no idea you had any of this going on. I was like, well, I don't wear a badge and I don't go out and be like, hi, I'm Lucy, nice to meet you, I've got Crohn's. So I suppose I do tell people, obviously, eventually, because they kind of end up seeing me in different situations and scenarios. But Yeah, I probably just broach it as and when I feel comfortable to, because I just don't want people to look at me differently, which is fine, they can, but if people don't understand it, I think when I tell them, I want to explain how it affects me, and this is why I'm like this, or if I need to work from home today, it's not because I'm being lazy, it's because I can't actually I'm hobbling around, or different scenarios like that. But
so don't worry about ads, just when you feel comfortable, just share that stuff. I think I'm quite open with addiction, and it's not my opening gambit, but I certainly it's a part of my DNA. It's a part of my life. I don't separate it.
No.
My recovery is my life. My life is my recovery. The two are intertwined. So I'm always curious to know how people are, or how they feel comfortable about sharing, what's going on for them.
I think I need to do it a lot more. I think I've started to be a bit more confident now and talk about it, or I'll put a picture on my Instagram when I'm going for another infusion and stuff. I don't do it all the time, but I think I do think people need to understand it.
I think that's how I spotted it. I think I'd spotted a picture.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about this. And I think when I messaged you originally, I thought to myself, because you never know if someone wants to get involved, and sometimes people feel obliged because if you know them, or maybe you've written a really polite note, but you absolutely lead into it, and I think that's kind of testament to, as we say, behind the title, leaders showing up differently. I think that's what it's about.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll bring it to a close now. We like to give people a permission slip, which is, I guess, some kind of final words from you about, is there something you'd like to share with people? I guess giving them permission to think, feel, do as a result of what you shared today, and if they listen to this episode.
I think if you're suffering with the hidden illness, I think just know it's okay, and you're doing really, really well, and keep going, and just let your colleagues know, because they will understand. Just explain it to them. And if you're not feeling great, just know that you're doing a great job. And if you need to have that day, from working from home, or for me, if you're not feeling great, take a day off sick. That's what I need to do myself, instead of pushing yourself. But just know that you're doing a good job, and you're not the only one out there, and go and talk to people. I think that's the best thing. Talk to people, open up to people, and really understand what other people are going through in their lives.
Amazing. Honestly, Lucy, thank you so much for joining today. Whilst I know that you'll be humble and say, don't be silly, I'm hugely in admiration after everything you just shared there about every time I see you, you have a smile on your face. And I think for people in the industry, 1 in 12, 13 people, I'd be surprised if more, didn't take from this something to say, actually, I suffer with it, and it helps me to know that others do too, and that's how they deal with it. So huge thank you for joining. Look forward to everyone hearing this episode soon.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for having me.